Bruh, when they dropped that one line in the documentary, I swear my whole spirit froze. Cause ain't no way they just walked us straight into the truth like that. The moment you hear it, everything about Biggie, everything about Tupac, it finally clicks. And once you catch it, you can't unsee it.
I don't like where this is going.
Bruh, the second that line dropped, I damn near leaned off the couch like somebody pushed me. Cause documentaries don't talk like that. That wasn't editing. That was a sucker punch with subtitles. I'm sitting there, eating my little snack, minding my business, and suddenly the screen hits me with a, he knew what was gonna happen. Excuse me? Bruh, my soul did a backflip. My heart said,
hold up, wait a minute.
My brain said, nah, bruh, I heard exactly what I think I heard. And the wild part, the tone. The tone was too casual, too comfortable. Like they weren't dropping a bomb. They were just reminding you to pay a light bill. The documentary didn't imply nothing. It walked us right to the door, opened it, pushed us in, locked it behind us, and whispered, y'all ready? Cause this gonna get nasty. And I swear the whole vibration of the room changed. The air felt heavy. The ancestors paused the Wi-Fi. Even my laptop fan slowed down like, bruh, did he really say that? Here's what makes it worse. This wasn't from no random dude trying to go viral. This was from someone who benefited nothing from speaking. Someone who ain't scared anymore. Someone who decided, you know what? Let me just dump this weight off my chest today. But the real killer, the part y'all probably caught but didn't process, the sentence wasn't about what Diddy did. It was about why he did it. And that why is the part that's gonna cook him forever. I'm telling you, that one line wasn't a detail. It was a confession delivered in HD. Once you hear it, the whole documentary rearranges itself like a puzzle you've been doing upside down your whole life. And trust me, we gonna break that why apart today. Cause once you understand it, you'll never see Biggie, Pac, or Diddy the same way again. Alright, so look, you can't understand anything about Diddy's moves unless you understand his addiction. His real one. Not girls, not money, not fame. I'm talking power. The kind you inhale like oxygen. This man been chasing dominance since he was a kid getting beat by Janice and shielded from the streets like he was wrapped in bubble wrap. A paper gangster. A dude who wanted the street rep without the street risk. So when Biggie and Tupac pulled up with real charisma, real talent, real respect, bruh, Diddy's ego started glitching. Cause here's the truth nobody want to say out loud. Some people don't hate you for what you did. They hate you for what you represent. And Biggie represented raw talent Diddy could never touch. Pac represented fearlessness Diddy could never fake. This man wasn't protecting the label. He was protecting his position, his I'm the boss fantasy, his I run New York delusion. And when somebody addicted to power feels it's slipping,
that's typically how the bullshit goes. You feel me?
That's when they do crazy things, desperate things, permanent things. That's why everything around them turned into a storm. Nobody trusted nobody. Everybody was watching their back. Every decision felt like chess with bullets flying. And guess who was at the center of all that chaos? Guess who was benefiting every time someone else fell? Guess who rose higher every time someone around them mysteriously disappeared or got taken out? Exactly. We gonna break the psychology deeper later, because this ego story is the key to everything. But just know this, power-hungry people don't compete. They remove competition. Bruh, these tapes right here, man, they should have come with a warning label. The second Keffe D started talking, the energy in the documentary shifted like a demon walked past the camera. This wasn't storytelling. This was confession disguised as conversation. Because Keffe wasn't stuttering. He wasn't hesitating. He wasn't searching for memories. Nah, he was speaking like somebody replaying a YouTube video he watched 5 minutes ago. In the wildest part, the tapes put Diddy exactly where you don't want him. Not pulling triggers, but pulling strings, like a shadow conductor, like somebody tapping chess pieces from behind a curtain. Let me say this clearly, because a lot of viewers miss the weight of it. If the man giving the orders is more dangerous than the man holding the weapon, then these tapes are basically a spotlight singing hello in Diddy's face. And bro, there's one quote in these tapes we gonna break down later. One line that low-key sounds like a damn admission of orchestration. A sentence that changes the whole narrative. A sentence that explains why people still scared of Diddy even with him locked up. We ain't even get into the detail yet. But when we do, your jaw gonna hit the floor. Bruh, this part right here, this part had me clutching my chest like an old church lady. Cause the timeline, it don't timeline. It don't add up. It don't even rhyme. First off, Biggie wasn't even trying to be in LA like that. My guy had a flight booked to London. He wanted to get out the city, out the vibes, out the energy. But Diddy said, nah, we staying, we partying, we vibing, we outside. And Biggie, being loyal, being respectful, being too trusting, stayed in a city that didn't want him there, stayed for an event he didn't want to be at, stayed under a man whose motives look real different in hindsight. Then the doc drops this slick little detail. Diddy changed cars. Diddy changed routes. Diddy changed plans. But Biggie stayed in the line of fire. Ain't that crazy? Ain't that wild? Because when you look at the footage, the interviews, the behind the scenes clips, Diddy moves like a man who always got a backup plan, always got a plan B, always got a just in case escape route. So why Biggie ain't get one? Why Biggie got the short end of every stick that night? Why was he the one caught?
Why?
Why was he the one exposed? Why did everything line up perfectly for the wrong person? Bro, the documentary starts making you feel like Biggie's death wasn't random. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't wrong place, wrong time. Nah, it was suspiciously convenient for the right person. We gonna break this deeper later, but trust me, once you see how Diddy's story doesn't match the timeline, everything starts looking different. Everything starts smelling foul. Everything starts sounding like a lie he rehearsed. All right, listen. If part 1 was messy, part 2 was a crime scene with subtitles. Because the way they broke down Tupac's final night, man, they laid it out like Domino's pizza, slice by slice until you see the whole pie. Look at the pattern. Pac gets into a fight, on camera, something loud enough to echo through the whole casino. That wasn't random. That wasn't spontaneous. That was a trigger event, a chess opening, a move Tupac didn't know he was making. Once that fight popped off, boom, the trap closed. Zip, Keffe D, the whole circle, all waiting for the moment. And when Pac jumped into that scuffle, that was the green light, the now or never, the perfect excuse. Here's where it gets nasty. Diddy wasn't swinging fists. He wasn't holding guns. He wasn't jumping nobody. But he positioned himself like a man who wanted the job done without ever touching the dirt. The tapes hint at orders that didn't need to be spoken twice. The energy implies a man who knew exactly when the streets were about to bite. And when Pac went down, who gained? Who breathed easier? Who stepped into a spotlight that wasn't theirs? Who used the chaos to elevate themselves? The documentary ties this together beautifully, not with accusations, but with patterns. Patterns don't lie. Patterns expose motives. Patterns reveal masterminds. Later in the video, I'm going to break down one moment that proves this whole thing wasn't random at all. But for now, just understand, part 2 didn't suggest nothing. It illustrated it in HD, with lighting, with narration, with receipts. Bruh, this the part that had me pacing around the house like a father waiting on DNA results. Cause let's keep it real. People grieved Biggie. People mourned Pac. But Diddy turned their deaths into a business plan. Life After Death, boom, dropped right after Biggie passed. Huge push, huge rollout, huge emotional manipulation. And guess who was front and center? Crying, throwing his arms up, screaming, my brother, my brother. But behind the scenes, man billed Biggie's estate for the funeral. Who does that? And Pac, same story. Diddy slid into the vacuum left behind, claimed the spotlight, claimed the culture, claimed a role he never earned, but exploited like a man starving for attention. And the craziest part, this one blew my mind. In every interview after Biggie died, Diddy positioned himself as the best friend, the closest one, the number one rider. Kirk Burrows already told you, they weren't even that close. It was branding, PR, narrative control, an image he sculpted to benefit off Biggie's death. When somebody dies and you get richer, when somebody dies and you rise, when somebody dies and your face ends up on the cover they were supposed to get, that's not coincidence. That's strategy. We're going to expand this later because when you follow the money always leads you right back to the person trying to look the most innocent. Bruh, we grew up hearing East versus West, East versus West, like it was some Marvel Civil War. But the documentary, nah, they flipped that whole story upside down. Because when you strip away the hype, the gangs, the colors, the headlines, it wasn't coast versus coast. It was ego versus ego. It was man versus mirror. It was Diddy versus anybody who didn't orbit him. Let me break it down. Pac wasn't beefing with New York. Biggie wasn't beefing with California. The streets got dragged into a personal power struggle between a rapper who spoke truth and a mogul who needed control. Pac pushed buttons because he wasn't scared. Biggie pushed bars because he was the better writer. But Diddy pushed narratives. He weaponized the beef. He fanned flames. He used chaos as a marketing plan. Bro, go rewatch the footage. Diddy always stepped into the frame when things got loud. Always the spokesperson. Always the leader. Always the voice of NYC, even though real New Yorkers wasn't crowning him like that. The documentary made it clear. This wasn't about coasts. This was about a dude terrified of losing shine. A dude watching two legends become bigger than him. A dude who realized the only way to win was to let the beef cook until somebody died. And once bodies dropped, who stepped into the spotlight like they were the last man standing? Exactly. The East versus West framing wasn't a tragedy. It was a strategy. And we gonna dive deeper into how that strategy protected Diddy while destroying everybody else. Why key insiders are flipping now and why they stayed silent before. All right, look. People keep asking, why they talking now? Why not back then? Let me explain it in the simplest, most street way possible. Fear got an expiration date. Back in the 90s and 2000s, Diddy had money, power, lawyers, connections, security, and a media machine that moved like a mafia. If you said one wrong thing, your career vanished faster than a mixtape rapper in 2010. He had yes men, he had shooters, he had corporate puppets, he had celebrities kneeling like interns. Man was untouchable. Until the Cassie lawsuit cracked the shell. Now everybody got courage. Ex-bodyguards, ex-employees, ex-artists, people who've been quiet for decades suddenly remembering everything. But it ain't random. They not talking because they brave. They talking because the shield is gone. The industry ain't protecting him no more. Them phone calls ain't getting returned. Them favors expired. That aura disappeared. The documentary showed it perfectly. These people ain't just talking. They're unloading. Whole childhood memories, whole trauma stories, whole secret meetings. Everything spilling out like a faucet someone forgot to turn off. Why now? Because Diddy ain't the king no more. He's prey. And predators ain't scary when the whole jungle turns against them. Later in the script, we gonna explain who cracked first and why that matters. But just know this, silence was loyalty. Now silence is liability. Bruh, let's talk about the machine. Because if you think Diddy avoided consequences for 30 years off charisma alone, you must be new to America. This dude was protected like national treasure. He had Clive Davis on speed dial. He had executives running interference like NFL linemen. He had networks, radio stations, big agencies, PR wizards, a whole army dedicated to keeping his image shiny. You think journalists just forgot to ask questions? Nah, bruh. They got calls. They got warnings. They got invitations to parties with NDAs thicker than concrete. Every time something suspicious happened, boom, it disappeared. Every lawsuit settled quietly. Every witness suddenly vanished. Every scandal spun into a misunderstanding. This wasn't luck. This was structure. This was a whole system designed to protect the money man, protect the face of the label, protect the one person who knew too much to fail. And here's the craziest part. The documentary shows you the cracks, not the whole wall collapsing, just the little fractures that formed over the years. The moments where the machine got tired, the moments where people stopped covering for him, the moments where even they realized this dude is uncontrollable. Because when a system protects you, but then decides to let you fall fast, you fall hard, you fall publicly. And that's exactly what happened. The machine that built him is now the same machine letting him drown. We gonna expand this deeper later, because the industry ain't innocent in this story either. Bruh, this timing right here, nah, this wasn't coincidence. This wasn't, oh wow, everything's happening at once. This was the universe hitting the upload button. Cassie dropped that lawsuit like a Molotov cocktail. And when it hit the ground, boom, the whole industry went silent. You could hear executives unplugging hard drives, influencers hiding old photos, celebrities deleting captions. Cassie ain't just tell her story. She broke the spell. She shattered the illusion that Diddy was invincible, untouchable, protected by magic or money or 1,000 NDAs. Bro, I swear, when that lawsuit dropped, the fear in the air was thick. You could smell it. People who used to brag about knowing Diddy suddenly forgot they ever met him. And then, the documentary drops right after. Like Netflix said, oh, you busy? Here's more work for you. This wasn't random. This was timing with a purpose. The lawsuit cracked the shell. The documentary ripped the whole creature out the egg. People finally started talking. The machine stopped running. The protection faded. And for the first time in his life, Diddy was standing in the spotlight bare. No PR, no spin, no shiny suits, just the truth. We gonna break Cassie's role in this deeper later, because without her, this documentary hits way softer. With her, it hits like a confession. Look, man, Diddy ain't never gonna walk into a police station and say, yeah, I did it. People like him don't confess. They crumble, piece by piece, pattern by pattern, witness by witness, receipts by receipts. And that's why this documentary hits so different. It ain't one moment. It's a collection, a buildup, a slow motion avalanche of stories that all point the same direction, toward the man who kept claiming innocence. You got Keffe D talking reckless, security guards telling stories like therapy sessions, old footage showing Diddy bragging, laughing, acting untouchable, ex-employees dropping trauma bombs like they've been rehearsing them. At some point, it stops feeling like testimony and starts feeling like a dude confessing without even knowing he confessing. Because guilty people talk. They talk too much. They talk at the wrong time. They talk with ego. They talk with arrogance. They talk like they think nobody gonna ever check them. The documentary didn't say Diddy pulled the trigger. It said he didn't need to. He benefited. He positioned himself. He knew the storm was coming. He moved like a man preparing for death, someone else's death. And when you stack all these pieces together, you end up with a picture that looks a lot like a confession, just without the handcuffs. Yo, this is the part I need y'all to go back and replay. Because when I saw this scene, I froze. Like my Wi-Fi dropped and my spirit rebooted. Why was Diddy recording himself like a damn documentary crew? Why he got footage talking wild, laughing, flexing, bragging like he's the villain in his own movie? Bruh, guilty people don't usually save evidence on 4K. You can see the ego dripping off the screen, the entitlement, the I'm untouchable energy, the attitude of a man who truly believed nothing could touch him. Not bullets, not beef, not karma, not the law. But here's the deepest part. It ain't what he says, it's how he moves. The body language, the smirk, the tone, the little slips where he sounds like a man living above consequences. That footage tells you exactly what his mindset was back then. And a man with that mindset ain't innocent, ain't cautious, ain't scared. He's calculating. He's anticipating. He's managing outcomes like chess. And when someone films themselves like that, it's because they think history gonna crown them as the hero. But the documentary turned that footage into evidence, incriminating, explosive, revealing. We'll dissect that scene more later, because once you understand it, you understand everything. Bruh, this part right here, this is the one that exposes the whole damn system. Everybody always asks the same question. Why didn't anybody say something earlier? Nah, you already know why. This industry ain't built on truth. It's built on power, alliances, favors, secrets, and fear. People stayed quiet because staying quiet kept them fed, kept them booked, kept them alive. Yo, when a man moves like Diddy moved, people disappear. Careers vanish. Phones stop ringing. Record deals get reconsidered. And don't let nobody tell you they didn't know. Everybody knew something. Maybe not every detail, but enough. Enough to feel sick. Enough to stay away. Enough to pray they weren't next. But the reason this documentary hit so hard? Because it's the first time people realized the shield protecting Diddy cracked. The castle walls fell. The machine ain't backing him no more. Once the industry smelled weakness, suddenly everybody found their voice again. Artists, employees, security guards, even random folks from the 90s popping out like, yeah, I saw something too. This wasn't courage. This was timing. This was opportunity. This was safety. But either way, the silence is finally breaking. And once silence breaks, it never goes back to normal again. Listen, when you hear these stories now, they hit different. Way different. Not because they're new, but because the context is new. The timing is new. The receipts are new. The witnesses are new. And the protection around Diddy is gone. You look back at Cassie's fear, Kim Porter's silence, Aubrey O'Day's interviews, Sean's 10 years doing time for another man, all the dancers, the assistants, the security, everybody telling little pieces of a big monster. Back then, people said, oh, they're exaggerating. Oh, they want money. Oh, they clout chasing. But now the puzzle pieces line up perfect. The pattern is undeniable. The behavior is consistent. The rage, the ego, the control, it all forms one picture. A man who never saw people as people. This documentary did something dangerous. It gave victims their stories back. It gave them context. It gave them credibility. It gave them unity. When stories connect, they become truth. And when truth becomes undeniable, that's when empires fall. Look, part one wasn't just an introduction. It was a funeral announcement. But the person being buried didn't know it yet. From the second this documentary opened, you could feel it. The downfall started. The unraveling began. Diddy's empire, the brand, the myth, the legend, it all started wobbling like an old table. Part one shows the foundation, his childhood trauma, his ego forming, his obsession with control, his need to dominate rooms, his paper gangster act, his attachment to power and image, his early manipulative patterns. This wasn't random. This was foreshadowing, like the first chapter of a villain origin movie. Except here, the villain ain't cool, ain't complex, ain't misunderstood. He's just dangerous. And this is why part one hits so hard. It connects the dots between young Diddy and monster Diddy. It shows you he didn't suddenly become evil. He grew into it. He practiced it. He perfected it. And the people around him kept feeding it. This documentary ain't clearing his name. It's burying it, layer by layer, episode by episode. By the end of part one, you already know he ain't coming back from this. Not socially, not culturally, not spiritually, not legally.
I hope so.
This was the first shovel of dirt on the casket, and 3 more episodes just kept digging. Bruh, after watching part one, I had to sit back, breathe a little, rub my face like, yo, what did I just watch? Because once you see the origin story, the ego forming, the manipulation starting, the power trips, the early casualties, the whole rest of the documentary hits you like a damn truck. This ain't just a celebrity scandal. This ain't gossip. This ain't messy news. Nah, this is decades of unchecked power finally cracking open. And part one sets the stage perfectly. The childhood wounds, the paper gangster persona, the fake tough guy energy, the obsession with control, the pattern of using people as stepping stones, the early warning signs everybody ignored. By the time the credits roll, you already know what's coming. You already feel it in your chest. Diddy ain't just falling. He's been falling for years. We're just finally seeing the footage. And the wildest part, this episode barely scratches the surface. This is the first punch, the jab, the warm-up, the trailer before the real movie starts. What's coming next is darker, heavier, more violent, more unbelievable, and more supported by witnesses, patterns, documents, behavior, and footage. Part one isn't asking, is Diddy guilty? It's telling you, look at who he always was. And once you understand that, everything else in the documentary makes terrifying sense. It clicks, it fits, it lines up too perfectly. This is why people are shook. This is why the internet can't stop talking. This is why his team is scrambling. This is why the industry is suddenly distancing themselves like roaches when the lights turn on. The empire is collapsing, brick by brick, episode by episode, and it all starts right here. Bro, after breaking down part one like this, I'm sitting here like, damn, we really watched the whole mask peel off in real time. Because once you see the patterns, the ego, the control, the manipulation, the paper gangster persona, you can't unsee it. Everything people been whispering for 20 years suddenly makes sense. Everything Cassie said, everything Kim Porter went through, everything former employees hinted at, it all lines up like a damn checklist. And the craziest part, this man really thought this documentary was gonna save him. He filmed half this stuff thinking, yeah, this gonna show the world I'm innocent. Nah, bruh. This showed the world exactly who you are. And episode one alone already cracked the image he spent decades protecting. So as we move to parts 2, 3, and 4, just know the pile only gets higher, the lies get louder, the stories get darker, and the receipts get more unbelievable. If part 1 is the introduction, the rest is the demolition. Be honest. After watching part 1, do you think Diddy was always like this? Or did the power turn him into a monster? Let me know down below. If you rocked with this one, you're going to want to watch the video that just popped up on your screen. Trust me. I'll see you on the next one. Panda out.